Gertrude Anna Hall Brownell was an American writer. She was born in 1863 in Boston, the daughter of David Culver Hall and Edna Emile Brown. In 1921, she married art critic William Crary Brownell. She began publishing poetry in 1890 in the sparklingly originally named Verses. She died in Manhattan in 1961 at age 97. Today we shall review her 1895 Foam of the Sea and Other Tales. The title story takes place in pre-archaic Greece, where the people are still living in caves and do not know the use of fire to make tools. But there be centaurs and other such beings among them in the forest. The main character one day sits and watches the sea, and notices a beautiful woman rise from it with seaweed instead of hair. He is fascinated and keeps glowering at the sea at all times, never moving from his spot, wishing to see her again. His mate, whom all call Babbler due to a girlish way of speech, and her friend, the deformed goat-footed man, fret over him as he lies in his cave with a fever. But when he can rise again, he does not notice the woman and even throws a stone at her. But even his patience grows thin with the sea, and he leaves for the forest. But his friends and kin hunt him down, and throw him down a cave as a sacrifice to a great beast, whose presence they blame on him for looking at the sea too much. But the Babbler is there to comfort him, and when the beast comes and she refuses to leave, wishing to die before him, he jumps to her and drags her to the sea, where the beast turns out to be a ship of some sort, maybe? The ending is a bit sudden and confused, but the story and setting are very intriguing. Garden Deadly has a club-bearing adventurer go to confront a witch who keeps turning men who love her into animals. He too loves her, and when she would turn him into an animal, he curses her and she becomes a snake, freeing all those she had enslaved before, but taking the snake across his chest lovingly, willing to go and find a means to undo what he had done. The one negative is that the story has a needlessly long first part dealing with a king sitting enthroned in his senility in a palace on a hill, overseeing an abandoned ruined city, and it really feels like this analogue of Circe was something Hall only came up with a ways into it. Powers of darkness as Mary be a self-righteous shrew, saying she will only help her friend Jenny, with whom she grew up in an orphanage, if she gives up her infant son born out of wedlock and promises to never see him again. Jenny refuses and survives, somehow sending flowers to passers-by. But in the meantime, Mary is possessed of a devil which makes her think evil, malicious thoughts, so she has Jenny find her dark cellar where she ends up dying. The description of her affliction does sound very much like one suffering from a serious mental illness, so reading parts of it may feel unsettling in hindsight. The last 3 stories are not good. In Battery House is the tedious drawn-out story of Septimus, a family chaplain treated more as a servant and as a man of no account. When Berenice, the beauty of the house whom he adores, has a former paramour refuse to give up her letters to him, Septimus disguises himself to get them for her, but then Berenice whines about how he embarrassed her by pretending to be her fiancé to get them, and how such a lowly, mockable man could be thought of to be her husband, etc. Septimus tries to clear this up and is thrown into a ditch, and Berenice leaves for America forever. The late returning concerns a Florentine husband who takes years to return from his business trip in the Orient, and that's about it. The Wanderers is by far the worst. A pair of begging Christians, an old blind man and his daughter, are let into a house, and then immediately preach conversion at the occupants and wonder why they get thrown out. Then when the father dies, he comes to his daughter in her dreams, saying how dare she not spend the rest of her life wandering as a beggar until she gets stoned to death, but dare sleep under a roof. And then he emotionally manipulates her by appearing weak, so she does just that.